Have you ever been in a meeting where everyone around you is talking, sharing ideas, asking questions, and you just sit there quietly, nodding your head, even though you actually have something to say? If that sounds familiar, you are in exactly the right place today.
Welcome back to English Chats Daily, everyone. I'm George, and sitting right here with me, as always, is Eva. Today, we are talking about something that so many of you have been asking us about for weeks now. And honestly, we are really excited to get into it.
Yes, and I am Eva. So today's topic is all about how to communicate clearly and confidently in IT environments. Whether you're a developer, a project manager, a tester, or anyone working in tech, this episode is made for you. And here's the big question we want you to sit with for a second.
What if you do not actually need perfect English to sound professional in meetings? What if you just need the right phrases used at the right moment? Because that's exactly what we are going to give you today. Real, usable phrases that you can actually start using tomorrow.
But before we jump in, if you're new here, please hit that subscribe button right now. We put out conversations exactly like this one every single week to help you build real confidence in everyday English. This is not a grammar class. This is real talk for real situations.
All right, Eva, let me start with something personal. When I first started working in a corporate environment, I remember being in my very first team meeting, and someone asked me directly what my thoughts were on the deployment timeline. And I completely froze. I knew what I wanted to say in my head, but the words just wouldn't come out the right way.
And that feeling, George, that's so common. So many of our listeners write to us saying the exact same thing. They say, I understand everything in the meeting, but when it's my turn to speak, my mind just goes blank. And you know what the problem usually is? It's not the English. It's not knowing which phrase to use at which moment.
Exactly. So imagine this. You walk into a meeting tomorrow, and instead of panicking, you already have a mental toolkit of phrases ready to go. You know exactly how to open a conversation, how to ask a smart question, how to give an update, and even how to politely push back on an idea. That's what confidence looks like.
So let's get into it. We're going to go through 8 real IT communication situations today. And for each one, we're going to show you a before and after example. We're also going to do some mini role plays together so you can actually hear how these phrases sound in a real conversation.
And here's what I want you to do as you listen. Don't just listen passively. Say the phrases out loud with us. Seriously, even if you're on the bus, even if you're at your desk, saying it out loud, even in a whisper, is how your brain starts to own these phrases.
Okay, situation number 1. Starting a conversation with a colleague or in a meeting. Now think about this. How many times have you wanted to ask a colleague something, but you weren't sure how to open that conversation without sounding too casual or maybe a little awkward?
This happens all the time, and the before version often sounds like this. Hey, I want to ask something about the project. It's not wrong, but it's a bit flat. It doesn't set up the conversation professionally. The after version is much smoother.
The after version is just a quick question regarding the current sprint. Do you have a moment? Or you could say, I wanted to touch base with you briefly about the deployment schedule. Both of these phrases signal that you're professional, you're organized, and you respect the other person's time.
Let's do a quick role play. Eva, pretend you're a developer and I'm your team lead. Go ahead and start that conversation.
Sure. George, I just wanted to touch base with you briefly about the API integration. I have a small concern about the timeline, and I wanted to get your thoughts before the stand-up tomorrow.
Perfect. And as the team lead, hearing that, I already feel like I am dealing with someone organized and thoughtful. That one phrase, I just wanted to touch base with you briefly, instantly raises the professional tone of the whole conversation. Write that one down, everyone.
Situation number 2, asking for clarification. And wait, think about this for a second. How often do you sit in a meeting, someone explains something, and you are not 100% sure what they meant, but you say nothing because you're afraid of sounding like you do not understand?
The irony is, half the room probably did not understand either. Asking for clarification is not a sign of weakness. In professional environments, it's actually a sign of seriousness. The before version sounds like this. Sorry, I didn't get that. Can you say again?
And the after version is so much more polished. You can say, "Could you please clarify what you mean by the acceptance criteria for this task?" Or try this one. "Just to make sure I understand correctly, are you saying that the deadline has moved to Friday?" These phrases show that you're paying attention and thinking carefully.
Eva, let me be the project manager, and you ask me for clarification on a task.
Of course. So I appreciate the explanation, but just to make sure I understand correctly, are you saying that the QA team will handle all the testing, or do we also need to do internal checks on our side?
And right there, that question demonstrates critical thinking. It shows you're not just nodding, you're actually engaging with the information. That's the kind of communication that gets noticed in teams. Really notice that phrase. Just to make sure I understand correctly. It's polite, it's clear, and it's incredibly professional.
All right, number 3, giving updates. This one is huge because in IT environments, giving status updates is something you do almost every single day. In stand-ups, in emails, in Slack messages, in meetings with stakeholders.
And the before version often sounds rushed and vague, something like, yeah, I did the task, it's almost done. That tells people almost nothing. The after version gives a complete professional picture in just a few seconds.
Try this. Here's a quick update on the login module. The development is complete and we're currently in the testing phase. We expect it to be ready by end of day Thursday. Short, structured, clear. That's all you need.
Another good one is, just wanted to give you a quick heads up that we have completed the back-end work and we are now waiting on the design team to deliver the final assets. That phrase, just wanted to give you a quick heads up, is used everywhere in English-speaking workplaces, and it sounds incredibly natural.
Can I challenge our listeners for a second? Think about something you're working on right now, even if it's not IT related. Try to give a 3-sentence update using this structure. First, what is the current status? Second, what is the next step? Third, when will it be done? Practice that right now in your head.
That's such a great exercise, Eva, and this actually connects to our core message today, which is that confidence doesn't come from talent, it comes from preparation. If you know your structure before you open your mouth, you'll always sound more confident, no matter what language you're speaking.
Okay, we're about halfway through our phrase toolkit today, so let's do a quick midpoint check. So far, we've covered starting conversations, asking for clarification, and giving updates. Those 3 alone will already make a huge difference in your day-to-day communication at work. How are you feeling? Are you saying these phrases out loud? Because if you're not, start now.
And if you are finding this useful, this is genuinely the best time to subscribe if you have not already, because we do this every week. Real situations, real phrases, real conversations. Not grammar rules, not vocabulary lists, just the stuff you actually need to speak English at work.
All right, situation number 4, explaining a problem or an issue. This is a big one in IT because things break, systems go down, bugs appear, and explaining what is happening clearly and calmly is a critical skill.
The before version of this sounds a bit panicked, something like, there is a problem with the system, it is not working, I do not know why. That raises alarm without providing any useful information. The after version is structured and calm.
Try this. We are currently facing an issue with the payment gateway. The error seems to be related to the authentication token, and our team is already investigating the root cause. That phrase, "we are currently facing an issue with," is so useful. It's professional, it's calm, and it immediately tells people you are on top of it.
And another one. We have identified an unexpected behavior in the checkout process. It appears to be affecting users on mobile devices specifically. We are working on a fix and will provide an update within the next 2 hours. That level of communication is exactly what managers and clients need to hear.
Notice how neither of those examples uses panic. And that's so important in IT communication. When something goes wrong, the team needs information, not emotion. These phrases help you stay calm and structured even when things feel stressful on the inside.
Wait, think about this. When you communicate calmly and clearly during a crisis, people around you feel more confident. Your communication style in difficult moments actually shapes how your colleagues and managers see your professional maturity. That's powerful.
Okay, situation number 5, suggesting ideas or solutions. This is where a lot of people hold back because they're afraid their idea won't sound good, or they're afraid of how to say it in English. But here's the thing. The way you frame an idea matters as much as the idea itself.
The before version is often too direct or too hesitant. Something like, I think we should do it this way, which can come across as too pushy. Or on the other end, maybe we could, I don't know, just a thought. That sounds unsure and unprofessional.
The after version hits the right balance. Try one possible approach could be to implement a caching layer to reduce the load on the database. This might help improve performance without requiring major architectural changes. That phrase, one possible approach could be, is perfect. It's confident but not aggressive. It opens a conversation instead of shutting one down.
Another great one is, have we considered automating this part of the process? It might save the team a significant amount of time in the long run. The phrase, have we considered, puts the idea into the group, not just onto you. It feels collaborative and smart.
George, let's do a quick role play for this one. I'm in a sprint meeting and I want to suggest a better testing approach.
Perfect. Go ahead.
So, one possible approach we could consider is adding automated regression tests to the pipeline. This might help us catch issues earlier and reduce the manual testing load for the QA team. I'm happy to discuss further if the team thinks it's worth exploring.
And that last part, I'm happy to discuss further if the team thinks it's worth exploring, is gold. You're showing confidence in your idea while also respecting the team's process. That's exactly the kind of communication that builds credibility over time.
Situation number 6, agreeing or disagreeing politely. And this one, honestly, is where a lot of non-native speakers either go too far, either too agreeable and passive, or too blunt without meaning to be. Both can create problems.
The before version of disagreeing often sounds like this. No, that is not right. Or the opposite. Yeah, okay, fine, when you actually do not agree at all. Neither of those helps anyone. The after version is much more effective.
If you agree, you can say, that makes total sense. I think that approach would work really well given our current constraints. And if you disagree, try this. That is an interesting point. However, I am slightly concerned that this approach might create some scalability issues down the line. Could we explore some alternatives?
That phrase, that is an interesting point, however, is like a professional magic trick. You acknowledge the other person, you keep the conversation respectful, and then you introduce your own perspective. It's smooth, it's confident, and it almost never creates conflict.
And here's something really important. Disagreeing politely is not about being weak, it's about being strategic. The person who disagrees with everyone aggressively doesn't win more arguments, they just get less included. The person who disagrees respectfully and clearly, that person builds trust.
Situation number 7. Asking questions or getting alignment in meetings. This is a big one. Think about how many meetings go on for an hour, and at the end, no one is sure what was actually decided or who is doing what.
This is one of the most common frustrations in IT teams everywhere, by the way. It is not just a language problem. It is a communication structure problem. And there are phrases that help you cut through the noise and bring clarity.
The before version sounds like, so what are we doing then? Which honestly can sound a little disengaged or even impatient. The after version is structured and takes ownership of the clarity.
Try this.
Can we align on the next steps before we close this meeting? I want to make sure we are all on the same page regarding ownership and deadlines. That phrase, can we align on, is extremely common in tech environments, and it signals that you care about outcomes, not just the conversation.
Another great one is, just to confirm, the agreed plan is X and the owner will be Y with a target date of Z. Is everyone in agreement? That kind of wrap-up statement is what senior professionals do, and it makes you look incredibly competent regardless of your language level.
Honestly, you can use that wrap-up structure in almost any meeting, even if you are not the meeting organizer, even if you are junior on the team. Offering that kind of clarity is never a bad thing. People actually appreciate it.
Okay, last situation, number 8. Closing a conversation or a meeting professionally. Because how you close a conversation is just as important as how you start it. A weak close leaves things feeling unresolved. A strong close signals maturity and professionalism.
The before version often just trails off, something like, okay then, bye, or all right, talk later, which is fine for casual conversations, but does not land well in professional settings. The after version ties things up cleanly.
Try this one. Let's sync offline later this week to go over the details. I'll send you a calendar invite. Or, I think we've covered all the main points. Let me follow up with a summary email so we have everything documented. Both of those phrases signal that you are organized, responsible, and professional.
And the phrase, let us sync offline, is one of those brilliant IT culture phrases that's used constantly. It basically means, let us talk privately or in a smaller setting. Using it shows that you are familiar with the way tech teams communicate, and it instantly makes you sound more like an insider.
All right, so let's do one more role play, a full mini scenario, end-to-end. Eva, you're a developer. I'm a project manager. Let's run through a quick meeting.
Perfect. So, George, I just wanted to touch base briefly before the stand-up. I have a quick update on the notification module. Development is complete, and we are now in the final testing phase. We expect to be done by Thursday.
Great to hear. Are there any blockers we should know about?
Actually, yes. We are currently facing a minor issue with the email delivery service. It seems to be related to the third-party API configuration. Our team is investigating, and I expect we will have a resolution by tomorrow morning.
Okay, and what's your suggestion for handling it if the fix takes longer than expected?
One possible approach could be to temporarily switch to a backup email provider while we resolve the main issue. This would ensure that users are not affected during the investigation. I'm happy to discuss further if you think that's worth pursuing.
That makes total sense. Let's align on the backup plan now so we're prepared. Can you send me a brief summary after this call?
Absolutely. I'll follow up with a short email outlining the issue and the proposed solution. Let's sync offline tomorrow morning if anything changes overnight.
Perfect. And did you hear how natural that whole conversation sounded? Not advanced, not complex, but clear, structured, professional. Every single phrase in that role play was something we covered today, and the whole conversation felt completely real.
And that is the whole point, right? You do not need to be fluent in every aspect of English to hold a professional conversation in a tech environment. You need the right building blocks and then you connect them. That is it.
So let's talk about practice for a second, because knowing these phrases is one thing. Using them automatically under pressure is another thing entirely, and the only way to get there is daily practice, and it doesn't need to take long.
Here's a simple 5 to 10 minute daily method. Every morning, pick one phrase from today's episode. Just one, then find 2 or 3 chances to use it during your workday, in a message, in a meeting, even just in your head when you're thinking through a situation.
At the end of the day, ask yourself, did I use that phrase today? Did it feel natural? If not, use it again tomorrow. This is how language becomes automatic, not from studying, but from using.
And here's the thing. Even if you only use one new phrase per week, that's 52 new professional phrases by this time next year. Imagine how different your communication would sound with 52 more tools in your toolkit.
Wait, think about that for a moment, because so many learners feel like they're not making progress because they're looking for huge jumps. But language growth is cumulative. Every phrase you add, every conversation you have, it all builds up. And consistency always beats perfection.
All right, before we close today, here's your challenge, and we're serious about this. This week, pick 3 phrases from today's episode, just 3, and use each one at least once in a real work conversation, in a meeting, in a message, in a call, anywhere.
And then come back and tell us how it went. Leave a comment below, tell us which phrase you used and how people responded. We genuinely read the comments and we love hearing these stories. Seriously, your experiences help us make better content for everyone in this community.
Also, we've put together a resource list with all of today's phrases neatly organized by category, and you can find it in the pinned comment below this video. Save it, screenshot it, share it with a colleague who might need it. It's free and it's there for you.
And if you're watching this and you haven't yet subscribed, now is genuinely the right moment. We're building something really special here at English Chats Daily, a real community of professionals who are working every day to communicate better, sound more confident, and grow in their careers through English.
This channel is for the person who sits quietly in meetings and has so much to offer. It's for the developer who knows their code is brilliant but struggles to explain it in English. It's for the tester, the analyst, the team lead, anyone who wants to close the gap between what they know and what they can express.
You belong here. Your voice matters. And the good news is you're already doing the work just by watching this. That's not nothing. That's actually a really big deal, and you should feel good about that.
So, to recap quickly, today we covered 8 key IT communication situations. Starting a conversation, asking for clarification, giving updates, explaining issues, suggesting ideas, agreeing and disagreeing politely, aligning in meetings, and closing conversations professionally.
Every single one of these came with a before and after example, and most of them came with a real role play so you could hear them in action. Take these phrases, use them, make them your own, and come back next week because we have another great episode coming that I think you're really gonna love.
Until next time, keep talking, keep practicing, and remember, you do not need perfect English to be heard. You just need the right words at the right moment. We will see you in the next episode. Take care, everyone.
See you soon.